Okay, so we're about to get started. We're just setting up the live stream on Facebook really quick. I also wanted to mention that nobody in the room here will be on the live stream, so you don't need to worry about that unless you are on the stage. So, important to know.
Sure. All right, I think you're good to go.
Awesome. All right. Cool. We are good to go. So let's get the show on the road. Okay. Thank you everyone so much for coming out to the Mercury Cafe tonight. First time back since we haven't been here in a while. Woo! All right. So tonight's meeting, we're going to go over some news articles that have happened since the end of last year, beginning of this year. And we'll spend about 20 minutes going over news, and then we're going to do a poll of the room that's going to be anonymous. So we're going to ask questions where everyone can participate socially distanced on their phone if they so choose. And it will be anonymous questions like your first psychedelic, your favorite psychedelic, things like that, as well as our virtual participants. And then we'll see how the Denver psychedelic community looks. So that'll be fun. But first, we do have a few announcements. First off, very important, the Psychedelic Club of Denver is a community that's about spreading education and objective awareness about psychedelic use. This is not a space to source or sell any substances whatsoever. Please don't do that. If anybody here does that, it's putting everything that we have at risk. And I'll be really sad. So please don't do that. Also, we have a new library that has, like, I think about 50 books in there that anybody can rent for free. Okay. So the library is on the corner over by the stairs. It's just a little journal. It has all of our books in it. So if anyone would be interested in renting any books, it's a really good library. Check it out. And we also do free substance testing. Completely non-judgmental. Anything you'd like, we can test it for you for free. And it will be accurate, and it will be tested correctly. So, and we also just got shirts. So they're really cool, $25. And we have stickers and pins. It's a great time. Okay, so with that, we will have Andrew and Desi up to talk about some psychedelic use. Where is Desi? Desi's downstairs, so he's going to come up in a minute. But we'll go ahead and get started with Andrew.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. It's really good to see everybody in person for the first time in probably about 1,000 years. So today we're going to be talking about some psychedelic items that are in the news. And I think we're all pretty excited to be seeing the amount of exposure that there is now for psychedelics, the amount of positive exposure. And of course, proud to be from Denver, where a lot of that kind of started, you know, with decriminalizing here. So I have two articles that I'm going to kind of just put into one general mishmash of one thing. So up in Canada, psychedelics are considerably less illegal than they are here. And it's at the point where there are corporations, you hear this term corporate delic, as in psychedelic corporations, getting involved in the psychedelic space. And at first, that sounds pretty cool. They're actually trading ETFs, so you can invest your money legally in psychedelics, which sounds pretty cool to me off the top of my head. And it's also, a great way to grow some money and support a cause. I like that. I bet everybody here does. There's a flip side though, where a lot of these corporations are publishing press releases, which of course is something that every corporation does. If say a company makes car seats, they're going to say, this car seat is safer, these are the reasons why. But the reality is that we need to have a vetting procedure of other companies to come out and say, okay, yes, this car seat is safer than the previous ones for these reasons, or no, it isn't, they were just making this up. And in Canada, there's a problem where these psychedelic companies are just saying that their substances are better than the ones that exist already. And the news media is just parroting those press releases and treating them as if they are science. And to be clear, these have not been peer reviewed, and this is internal research that they're conducting. Like, what company ever came out and produced research saying that their product wasn't safe? So in the article from Symposia that I read, the example that they gave is from a company called Mindset Pharma. And what Mindset Pharma has done is that they've started creating compounds, novel psychedelic compounds, which are related to psilocybin. And they're doing it under the guise of creating a safer substance. The thing is that psilocybin and psilocin are among the safest substances known to humankind that we can ingest. They're safer than aspirin, they're safer than ibuprofen. So what problem exactly is this company trying to solve? And, of course, we can all have our own opinions about it. But to me, to the author of this article, it sounds kind of like when here in America we have big pharma going and getting plants from the Amazon and making a slight alteration and then patenting that and making a lot of money on it. So this is where we're at right now in the world. This is the crossroads between legalizing psychedelics and decriminalizing. So what we have here in Denver with decriminalized psilocybin mushrooms, you can't mess with that molecule and then sell it. But people who grow their own won't get in trouble. People who choose to work with it free of charge won't get in trouble. And I think that it's really important for all of us in the community to be aware of these articles that we're reading and maybe to look a little bit deeper and see what's behind this. Who's actually sharing this information and who does it benefit? Does it benefit me? And especially looking at this novel psilocybin-like compound, the Mindset Pharma is claiming that it is safer with no research whatsoever to back that up. Whereas we have millennia, hundreds of years, if not millennia, of people taking psilocybin mushrooms safely. And it's up for all of us to decide how we feel about that. I'm trying to keep my opinion out of it, but frankly, I don't think I've done a very good job. And, it's really caused me to think a little bit more about these articles that I keep seeing on social media or in major media outlets about the progress of psychedelics, particularly up in Canada, where corporations are getting their hands on them. I have one quote from the article to read to you all. The hypothetical solutions offered by Mindset's experimental compounds with unknown safety profiles raise more questions than the answer. There is a well-established human safety profile for psilocybin and a clear lack of evidence regarding psilocybin-induced cardiotoxicity. But Mindset is creating the testing novel compounds to minimize any negative side effects like cardiotoxicity. Why? Wouldn't it make more sense to investigate the supposed cardiotoxicity or other suggested negative side effects of psilocybin before playing perfect shogunite with proprietary alpha-beta-amines of unknown safety? Perhaps not, if the goal is to create proprietary compounds for shareholder enrichment rather than addressing an unmet pharmacological need. So, really what we're talking about here is capitalism getting its dirty green fingers all over our psychedelics. And why would we want that? Who does that benefit? And would you rather take something which resembles psilocybin, hasn't been tested? Would you rather take that than take psilocybin? I think those are important questions, and I think that it's important for us to be raising those questions with others and bringing that into the cultural awareness here and elsewhere. That's about all I've got. I don't know if anybody has any questions. You're welcome to shout them out, or I'm just going to turn the time over to Desi. Question, Kenny.
I think the big question is, has Big Pharma ever lied to us? No.
Yeah, that's good. That's.
And I think the number of lawsuits against the county says it have.
Yeah, Kenny, I agree with you. I mean, I don't have an opinion, but I'm being objective up here. But you raise a very good point. Any other questions, shout-outs? Hey.
It's not really a question.
Uh-huh.
You know, I have found like a few jobs that are involved in like psychedelic companies that aren't as capitalist, that are smaller.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually selling, they're not selling, but doing research and things like that, like positively in psychedelics.
Cool.
Are still stuff out there that can involve yourself in or do positive things in the industry, as opposed to kind of like what you were talking about, where they're not really highlighting the problem.
That's awesome. Do you, just if anybody didn't hear, she's saying that she's found some stocks you can invest in of companies that are doing more research, positive things, if I can put such a spin on it. Can you shout out any of the names?
Red Light Holland.
Red Light Holland.
Yeah, they're a Canadian company.
Cool.
They, their ticker on, their stock ticker is TRUP. And, they are, right? They make mushroom truffles in Canada.
Okay.
They're a small company. I can't remember the CEO's name, but you can reach out to him and talk to him about what they do. So that's one stock that if you did want to put your hands in those baskets without feeling like we're aiding big pharma or not positively impacting psychology. And then you found one MindMed, right?
MindMed.
I haven't done a ton of research on that one, but from the little research, it seemed like they were more based in the research side of things, so you could look into that one. I'm not as familiar with it as Red Light Holland, but
Okay.
that's another one where I don't think they're big pharma, but I don't know a ton about them.
That is really great information. Thank you so much for sharing. If you think about it, or you can do this right now if you want, would love if you could actually, we're streaming this live on Facebook right now, if you could comment on the video. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there involved in our community who would really like to support those companies that you brought up. And I'm so thankful that you did, because I obviously came with another message.
If I find any other ones where I feel like they're more positive for the community, I can always share them with the people as well.
Please do. Thank you so much.
What was the ticker for Red Light Holland?
Trust, it's TRUP.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any more questions, comments, or are we just all really excited about Desi right now? I'm excited about Desi right now. Not that I'm ever not excited about Desi, if we're being honest, but He's so humble. All right, everybody, here's Desmond.
Thank you, Andrew.
I probably have to do that. I'm taking my mask off. Okay, so I'm just gonna own and supporting my two nonprofits, Psychedelic Club in Denver, you have the shirt on. And my other nonprofit is Ranked Choice Voting for Colorado. So if you want ranked choice voting or psychedelics, talk to me. Ranked choice voting is where you get your ballot mail, like, I like this person number one, this person number two, this person number three, and if no one gets the majority in the first round, there's just an instant runoff, and it keeps the extremists out of office. But if you want more information, talk to me about that later. But so onto the psychedelic realm. I'm going to give a little shout out to Sherry Eckert tonight. As we all know, this past November was a historic political victory for drugs, right? You know, we had the DC campaign, which a lot of us volunteered for. We went out and gathered petition signatures. Katie, right there, stand up, Katie. She was in, yeah, she was in the top 10 people of petition signature gatherers for DC to decriminalize entheogenic medicines. She just comes up to you and is like, here's a ballot. You sign this ballot or sign this petition or else I'm gonna like slit your throat. She's very intimidating out there. But the other, so there was DC, like, and then there was Oregon, right? So Oregon like had two measures on the ballot. One measure was you could just decriminalize all drugs, which is awesome and fun. Whatever, it was like heroin, crack, LSD, psilocybin, and there's like super specific numbers behind each one of those. Like you have like 12 grams of mushrooms, somebody has of LSD, and there's Brian, I love Brian. And then there was like how many grams of heroin or meth, whatever. But drugs shouldn't be it's not a criminal problem, it's a medical problem. You know, you think about drugs as a learning disability. You know, if you're living a life and you don't have the coping skills to manage stress and anxiety, you turn to drugs that numb you out. I'm not talking about psychedelics, but I'm talking about the other drugs where that's just how you learn how to manage your day-to-day life stress. And that brings me to my other thing. What I'm talking up here about was 109. That was 110. 110 decriminalize all drugs. 109 to an extent. It's like you have to pay a fee if you get caught with drugs with 110. 109 was about psilocybin therapy, which Andrew really touched upon was the issue of how do we create an infrastructure within our society where we can have psychedelic medicine where it's beneficial, but it's not like where you're not just lining the pockets of big pharma, right? And so that was the exciting thing about 109 was it was a ballot measure where if you voted for it, it was one of those things where it creates they voted for it, it passed, and there's 3 or so, in 3 years, it goes into effect in 3 years. And basically what happens in 3 years is that they're just building this big infrastructure within the state. So there's 3 licenses like any person can get. One license is as a a site. So like if you're like a mental health agency, you can just create a infrastructure for psilocybin therapy. So that's one license. The other license is as a provider. So if you're a licensed mental health provider, or you don't even have to be licensed per se, but you need like as like a psychologist or an LPC or a clinical social worker, you could just be like a trip sitter. But it was kind of like, okay, someone comes in and they want to do psilocybin, like a psilocybin experience, and if this person has a lot of trauma behind their back, a lot of, or a person could not have any trauma. They're just like your average high functioning person who just wants to have the experience to, help their business. But they just kind of like, if you're the more high-end problematic person, you're going to go to a therapist. But if you're a more high-functioning person, you can go to a trip center, and they try to match you up in that regard. And then the other one is just like a grower. So like what we have here in Colorado, you drive to here and you like Aurora, you smell all the weed growing facilities. There's just going to be people that need to grow mushrooms. So there's one of those three licenses that you can get. So I get it. As Andrew was talking about, we need to be really on the edge about the capitalists coming in and making money off our drugs or medicine. But on the other end, you need some kind of oversight on a professional level, right? That you're not going to have people coming in off the street for these drugs that are maybe have like issues with reality testing, like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, that they come in and they say that they have issues with, they think they're an alien or the government's watching them or something, and this is their everyday normal reality. And giving these people psychedelic drugs just exacerbates that reality testing, that there has to be some kind of community oversight in that. That's in the realm of harm reduction. You don't want to be like just handing out, these people have access from the community. If they grow it themselves, they do it themselves, that's them, but they can't be coming into a mental health setting and getting these medications in that realm. So that was the whole idea between with 109 and Oregon, was that there needs to be a facility where people can come and who have mental health problems and they need to, like depression, trying to quit smoking, just these kind of like end of life issues. And they don't feel comfortable growing the mushrooms themselves. They want some kind of medical oversight. And it is what it is. So, but we had an awesome married couple that stepped up to that plate, Tom and Sheree Eckert, who saw what we did here in Denver with decriminalization, and it kind of put the wind in their sails that, hey, if Denver can decriminalize psilocybin, we can, put it into place as infrastructure for medical psilocybin. And so there was a tragic thing that happened. The measure passed. A couple of weeks later, the wife passed away. She had chronic cardiac problems. So I just wanted to come up and kind of give my hats off to that campaign. That was awesome of them to do that. we were this close to having both of them here doing a webinar, and then she passed away. So I just felt it was kind of like we needed to kind of give our heads off to that campaign. Because for wrong or right, I get the anti-capitalist stuff, which, you know, Andrew really did this at too. And that was kind of the, how do you say it, the accusation put behind that campaign, that it was like, oh, these people are just trying to line their pockets, you know, for this campaign. And when you get to know them, they really weren't trying to line their pockets with it, that they were just trying to create an infrastructure so people could go eat mushrooms that grow organically. It was like a big pharma thing. And that was the awesome thing about the campaign. So hats off to Tom and Cherie Eckert for creating that campaign and doing that implementation. Hopefully, so it's a shame Cherie won't be able to see it, but Tom is, you know, pushing forward with like creating the framework that needs to be created in Oregon. And the exciting thing is we're really looking at that infrastructure here in Colorado that really galvanized the local activists that are looking on creating that infrastructure. So hats off to Oregon. This be a little sad for Cherie, but she would be really excited to know that this idea is existing and moving on beyond her. And maybe we can make something like that in Colorado soon. So fingers crossed. All right.
Cool, thank you, Des. And we do have one more news article that's going to be presented by Jacob, and then we'll go ahead and get this poll started so we can see how Maroon feels and uses psychedelics locally. Alrighty. Jacob just made it all the way from passing through skiing traffic. So thanks for being here. Okay, yep, and if you would like to pull up the link before we get it started for the poll, it's up here, really hard to see, but it's also posted on the Facebook page, on the live chat comments. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get that started after this news article. Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, Jess. Hey Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes. All right, well, I don't know that she's listening. Okay, there we go. So I had two articles that I was gonna talk about today, but just doing one today. So the one that I chose is from Lucid News. If you guys follow that, it's kind of up there with Double Blind. They don't post quite as much, but they do really good in-depth content. But this article is, the title of it is Oakland's Next Step in Psychedelic Decriminalization Approved Unanimously by City Council. And so a little back context is that the decriminalized nature umbrella, the movement, it originated in Oakland. Oakland was the first to do it, and they did it by city council. So they just had a new resolution that passed in December. And so the resolution calls for the city of Oakland to work with the state of California and California legislators to work on a decriminalized nature for the entire state. So that resolution passed unanimously through through city council there. And so there is a bill being drafted by California State Senator Scott Weiner. And also a little context about all this is that previously in 2020, Oakland Community Healing Initiative is going through the city council. And so the Oakland Community Healing Initiative, it's kind of like the decrim version of, they're gonna have like ceremonies that are kind of under the radar, and the police and fire are not gonna mess with them. So the whole thing is being spearheaded. Decriminalized Nature is being spearheaded by the co-founder, Carlos Pazzola. Carlos. He was on the most recent Denver mushroom policy panel thing that they do every quarter. But anyways, let's see. Oh, okay, so we were talking about there's some anti-capitalist stuff going on, and so the decriminalized nature is part of that. So, I mean, there's a lot of psychedelic pharmaceutical stuff going on in Canada, so if you want to get on that train, but the other train is the decriminalized nature. It's anti-capitalist, sort of. It's not, I mean, I don't want to put the label on it like that, but let me give you a quote. We want to avoid some of the same challenges we had with cannabis legalization, where big corporations come in and people who have been involved for many years got pushed out. And so they're trying to avoid the pitfalls of like big money in cannabis. That's the decriminalized nature perspective. And there was a little bit of controversy with M109 and M110 in Oregon because the local decriminalized nature chapters opposed those. So there's a little bit of difference of opinion. It also, the article addressed psychedelic exceptionalism. The senator that we were talking about, Scott Weiner, his quote, "I support the broad decriminalization of drug possession and use. Psychedelic decriminalization isn't a substitute for that. It's a step in the right direction. I hope we get to it sooner rather than later." And then one of the city council members in Oakland, kind of an interesting anecdote. Their grandmother had been made herbal medicines and was half, and this person is, Gallo is the city councilman. They're half Native American, half Pueblo Indian. So like, sort of resonated with them. Okay, that's my time, but I'll finish up real quick.
Keep going. Keep going. Kick it off.
So Gallo, the city on city council, was talking about they have something called the Indigenous Red Market every Sunday in Oakland. This is pre-COVID, but they had tents where herbs and fungus were for sale, and that the fire and police chief like went through it, and they just kind of like looked the other way. So that's also what's going on in Oakland. But yeah, so hats off to Oakland. They did it differently than Denver. I mean, we went the initiative route, and there's a lot of work and money involved with people getting signatures. They just lobbied city council and got theirs passed, and theirs is much bigger than Denver's. It includes all psychedelic plants and mushrooms. So hats off to Oakland, and hats off to them for passing the resolution that says that the city will lobby the legislature and the state to create a broader decriminalized nature framework for the entire state of California So we might see that in 2021. Thank you.
Alrighty. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with the poll. The link can be found in the comments of the live video that is on Facebook right now, on the Psychedelic Club of Denver pages. You can also come up here and type it out, or I can help you find it. There are 7 questions, and all of your answers should be completely anonymous. There's no way that we'll know it's you. And we'll give everyone about 10 minutes to answer them, and then we will compile all the results and see where the room is at with psychedelics. Awesome. All right, I'm going to start a timer. So let's see. Let's plan it's 7:42, so about 7:55. We'll start talking and looking at results. Okay. Oh, and everyone online can participate as well. So maybe we'll have a few more than just who's in the room now.
I think the link was posted as a personal. Is it the same thing? Okay.
Okay, is it saying for everyone that they already took the survey?
That works for me.
This one works for you? Okay, I'm gonna try to read it out up here, and if this says so, then let me know. But, all right, for anyone who it says that, try to type in this one. It's HTTPS. We're gonna go through this whole thing. We can do it. All right, HTTPS, and then the colon, // www.surveymonkey, surveymonkey.com, and then another / lowercase r, another / capital B, capital R, 767, capital V as in Victor, capital Q. So, okay, and it's still not working. Raise your hand, and I'm going to come over and we're going to figure it out. Yeah, those were here. I think that those are the flowers for the Mercury Cafe. They're really pretty. No, I don't think so. Let's pretend we set them up first.
I would not personally classify it as psychedelic. It doesn't act on the same side. It has some semi-psychedelic effects. I would say. I would say that it would matter what you would say. You didn't tell them about it. Yeah. I'd say, yeah. So the day after, the day in between so I just wanted to like then anyway, so I didn't get it that way. Okay, good job. Which means Oh, yeah.
Okay, so at the time, I'm just working on compiling the answers, so maybe about another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll go over the results.
Yeah.
Are you in Denver?
We ordered them and they were just sitting around. So they're like, so we're taking the wall. Stop there. Oh yeah, we had but we want to put a. Yeah. So you're not there. The wall or you're sitting in the chair and The wall behind you. That's the next thing. Now you're right. Once you get on the channel there, I'll let you know.
Alrighty, results are in. Okay, so between all of us here and a handful of people online, we had 31 responses. So I know that there's a lot more people in Denver that use psychedelics, but I think between us here and a lot of the people online, we have a decent representation of the Denver psychedelic community, which is really fun. Really excited about it. Okay, so there are 7 questions. The first question was, what was your first mind-altering substance? So, mind-altering substances can be a lot of things. When we think of mind-altering substances, myself included, a lot of the time I jump to a lot of illegal substances or substances that are really mind-altering. But some of these also include alcohol, caffeine, rhetoric, things like that. So, with that noted, the number 1 answer was cannabis, 8 people, followed tied for second with alcohol and LSD, each with 5 votes. And then third was psilocybin mushrooms. Some of the other answers were salvia, caffeine, and ketamine. All right. So, second question, some substance that you want to try that you have not had a chance to yet. There's a lot of variety with this one. We all have a lot of different things that we're looking for, and I think that's great. So, the first one that was most popular was ayahuasca. That was with 5 votes of 31 people, and that was the number 1. So, lots of variety. The second was 5-MeO-DMT. That had 3 votes, followed by, 3 votes for 5-MeO-DMT, and then third place had 3 ties with 2 votes each, which were NN-DMT, MDMA, and peyote. Some of the other answers we had were, with each one vote, a lot of variety. Acid, Quaaludes.
Quaaludes!
Yeah, Quaaludes. What it was. Some of the novel tryptamines, mushrooms, or ACO-DMT, ibogaine, San Pedro, and ketamine. It's a great variety. Okay, the third question was, what is your favorite psychedelic? So the number 1 answer in the room with 8 votes was mushrooms. That's a good one. I think it's a really good favorite. It's one of my favorites for sure. Second, we had LSD with 5 votes, followed by DMT with 3 votes. We had a really good answer in here that goes back to that traditional, what is an altered state of consciousness? Someone's favorite altered states of consciousness or favorite mind-altering substance was breathwork. So really cool to look into lots of ways you can get there. I like it. We also had no favorites. There were 2 no favorites. Cannabis, MDMA, changa, ketamine, Quaaludes, and 5-MeO-DMT. All right. So, third question. Where is somewhere that you want to trip that you have not had the chance to yet? The first most popular answer with 7 votes was somewhere in the mountains or somewhere in nature. So, such a great place in Denver, Colorado to be doing that. Lots of opportunity to pursue that. Second most popular place wanting to trip was an ocean or a beach with 5 votes, followed by Meow Wolf. I think they were building a Meow Wolf in Denver, and so that's going to be a great place to maybe use psychedelics. Okay, and also third place was tied for at home with 2 votes. So yeah, I love tripping at home. That's my favorite place. Some other places people want to trip that they haven't yet have been Red Rocks. We had one at outer space, so good luck. Good luck. Hope we get there someday. In a professional therapy setting, South America, Burning Man, Peru, at a concert, in a cave. I don't think I could do a cave. I'm gonna be really great on that one, but you're probably cooler than me, so I'm sure you could do it. Or the Vatican. That would also be a really cool place to trip if you can pull it off. All right. 5th question. Why do the people in Denver use psychedelics? The #1 answer was to open my mind and heal emotionally. That had 10 votes. The second was personal self-exploration. That had 6 votes. Third place with 5 votes was treating physical symptoms, including chronic pain. I think that's really cool that psychedelics can be used to help treat those things. And then 4th place with 3 votes each was for spiritual exploration and for fun. And then we also had a vote for just to experience something new. Which I think is completely valid. That's awesome. All right, 6th question. How do you integrate your psychedelic experiences? The number 1 was tied. It was tied with 6 votes each for talking with friends and by journaling and reflecting on your experience personally. And the second most popular one, with 4 votes, was speaking about your experience with a professional, with a therapist. And then we also have someone who integrates their experience with integration circles, as well as one that I thought was really interesting that I've never considered, was reflecting on the experience with after consuming cannabis. So I think cannabis is also like a great thinking substance for me at least, so I'm sure that's probably really great for integration. All right, and then the 7th question we had was, do you prefer to use substances alone or with other people? The top one with 11 was, a lot of people didn't answer this for some reason, I'm not really sure why. But the top one was with other people with 11 votes, and then followed by, just barely, followed 2nd place, 10, with alone. There were 5 people that said both, it doesn't matter if they prefer alone or with other people. And then 3 people that said that it depends on the psychedelic, which I think is really true for myself, as well as probably for a lot of the people who took the survey. It really depends what you're consuming, where you're comfortable, who you're with. So I think that's a really great snapshot of where we're at locally. For what?
How do you prefer psychedelics?
Yeah.
Ooh, I prefer psychedelics alone.
Yeah.
I think that for me, when I'm using substances with other people, I think a lot about the other person that I'm with. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I like to use psychedelics for spiritual and personal exploration as well as emotional healing. And when I'm using for those reasons, it's best that I can reflect internally. And when I'm with other people, I do a lot of external observation. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anyone in the room that wants to make any comments, share anything, ask any questions about anything? To maybe you heard that someone used a psychedelic or something that you have questions about? Want to talk with them? Anybody? Yeah.
Hi. Hey, I just want to introduce myself. I just moved here from Montreal 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And
hosting the Montreal Psychedelic Society there, so I'm really happy to have meet people here at the Downtown Society. I'm looking forward to meet you all.
What's your name?
Jessica.
Cool, Jessica. Jessica just moved here from Montreal, and she was part of the Psychedelic Society in Montreal. She hosted it. So she'd be a cool friend. You guys should talk to her. On that note, are there any more questions, comments?
What's your least favorite psychedelic guest?
My least favorite psychedelic. Yeah, that would have been a good question, and she would have been here. It sucks to say a least favorite because it makes it sound like I don't like it, but I do like it, but I just like all the other ones more. The one I'm thinking of, is ketamine. I do really enjoy ketamine, but compared to the other ones, I think I just learned more with the other ones.
You're not doing it right.
Yeah, I'm not doing it in a therapeutic session, and I bet if I did with the therapist there, at higher doses, I would be getting a lot more potential with that substance than what I am. Also important to consider. And there's some really cool ketamine clinics in Denver, so I should maybe do that. All right, so that concludes our meeting tonight. There are a lot of really cool people in this room. Some of the coolest people in Denver are in this room right now. So if you see somebody that you don't know, go say hi and make a new friend and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thanks for coming. Wait, Des, do you have anything?
I wanna ask other people what their least favorite.
Des wants to ask other people what their least favorite substances are. Do you want to do that on the survey or just?
I'll just call it out.
He's gonna call out some people. Here we go.
Hey, over here. Come on. Least favorite psychedelic.
That's how great psychedelics are.
All psychedelics are great. Look at her. Raise your hand if you have an answer. Come on. All right.
My least favorite psychedelic is also my second favorite psychedelic, and it's ayahuasca, just because it feels so shitty. But then when it's over, it's great.
Okay. Say that out loud.
Yeah, I'll say it. I'll repeat it so the people on the live stream can hear it. It's his also his second favorite psychedelic because it feels so shitty while you're in it, but then it's so great because it was ayahuasca. Because it's an experience that's.
Yeah, it's so good for you, and I love it so much. It's my second favorite after vitamin DMT. But like when you're in it, you like feel like you're dying, and you wish you had never done it. And every time I do it, I'm like, you knew this was going to suck, so why did you do it again? And then I'm really glad that I did afterwards. It's like running a marathon. Like it sucks, and it was great.
It's fun when it's over. Back here.
25C.
25C. Tell us about it.
It's like one of the synthetic LSD versions. Like if you buy from an unscrupulous person, you can get that shit and stay up for like 18 hours, think you're having a heart attack.
Oh man. Yeah, so stayed up for 18 hours, thought you had a heart attack.
Yeah.
What was it? 25C. All right.
I got 99 problems, but 25C ain't one. That's
Okay. Ayahuasca. Oh, because nothing ever happens.
Oh.
Okay.
Ayahuasca doesn't have anything to teach her. She's just so above. LP's just so up here. Ayahuasca has nothing to teach her. That's the thing.
That's a good answer too. Sometimes you're not the first person I've heard that with, and I wonder why that is with some people. But that's why it's really scary.
All right, Jacob Curtis.
Datura.
Datura.
That's a delirium, which is like another level above hallucinogen because you don't even fucking know you're tripping.
Okay.
Really high doses.
Sean, what's your least favorite?
Oh yeah.
Maybe beta ketone 2CB.
Beta ketone 2CB?
I thought it was supposed to be like a much longer lasting 2CB. I still the stimulation and nausea.
Was it an analog of the 2CB?
Yeah.
Okay, an analog of the original 2CB that didn't last as long.
No, it was supposed to last, I thought it was supposed to be like the same, but much longer lasting. But it was like 1/10 as potent, so much more expensive, and I only felt Yeah.
Katie, what's your least favorite?
I've never done, why do people do salvia?
Salvia.
Ah.
Why do people do salvia?
I don't want to change my answer to salvia.
It's what?
It's really short but really intense.
Yeah.
The worst thing ever.
Jessica, what's yours?
What?
Least favorite?
Dirt weed?
Good answer.
Good answer.
Kenny, what's yours?
Least favorite is one I don't have.
They're pretty good. Pretty good.
Iboga? Iboga. It's gotta be Iboga that's over here.
All right.
All right, so mine is LSD. I like to sleep. Like I can sleep after LSD. It's like if I have an extra 16 hours, yeah, he has an extra 16 hours. Nobody has an extra 16 hours. No. You are fucking liars. You are all liars. None of you have an extra 16 hours.
No, I have an interesting.
All right.
I really do. Almost the opposite happens to me. I just want to nap and I often knock out. Like, I don't know why. Like once I'm done and I'm relaxed, like I just want to take a nap and I often fall asleep really quickly.
Look at her. Look at
She
her.
can sleep after
She's like 4'9", like 100 pounds.
For ADHD.
She's got a metabolism of a hummingbird. So it's just in and out. That's her.
That could be, that's a
Yeah.
good perspective. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So superhuman driver sleeping after LSD. Yeah. All right.
So I don't think Kes gets enough pops, so let's give her a round of pops. Yes. People are always saying there's not enough women in the psychedelic space. So here's Kes, president of the Psychedelic Club of Denver. Here she is. We have her. Here she is, Kes. Kes is great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kes.
Okay, happy Sunday. Safe tripping and safe dinner for tripping.
Yes, we have a raffle. Everybody here should have a raffle ticket. Is there anyone here that doesn't have a raffle ticket for some sports from my college now? Okay, I'm gonna go get the other tickets. Okay, Katie's gonna pull the raffle tickets.
Oh, yeah.
All right, drum roll, no drama, everyone do drum roll. Okay,
5174502.
I got it!
yes, okay, you're gonna go first. They're in the box. Hold on, I gotta go get the other box. These sports are from my college now. It's a super cool company. And yeah, you can go to our stores in Denver County. So you should totally do that.
Where's my number?
All right, we have one more sport, guys. All right, yeah, let it drum roll. Drum roll.
5174514.
Yeah. Let's move your jumping off the mushroom. Okay. Also, if the winners don't mind, if we could take a picture, if you'd rather not, that's okay too. But cool. So we'll do that after in just a sec. And yeah, happy Sunday, everybody. I hope everybody meets a new friend here tonight. You know, you should just do this track. Okay. Thanks. Have a good night, everyone. Happy Sunday.
I gotta get late second. All right.
Well. One expert.
Yes.